Millions of Angelenos can now live a car-free lifestyle without actually having to get rid of their car. Let me explain. Pretend that you have a job at one of these two towers in Los Angeles' financial district, and you have a 30-minute commute that has you walking through the door at 7:45 a.m. every day. Using the travel time tool, we can see that you likely live somewhere within this shaded region. If we overlay the LA Metro map, we can see that North Hollywood, Santa Monica, California Heights, or Arcadia are the farthest places that you could possibly live while still being in the shaded area and on a metro line. Here's the distance that you would drive from each of these locations to work. If we use the cost of gas prices in LA County in 2019, before COVID made them start going crazy, and we assume that everyone drives a car that gets 25.4 miles per gallon, we find that back then the cost per mile for Angelenos was 14 cents. A weekly Metro Pass cost $25 in 2019, and we can use that price along with the commute distance from each of these locations to determine how much it costs to travel each mile with a Metro Pass. In the end, only one of the 4 living situations ends up being less expensive than driving. This is a huge problem. Why? Because LA Metro currently leaves lots to be desired. Even if you live and work in this ideal scenario, you probably still own a car because life doesn't end when the work week is over. Perhaps you enjoy visiting LACMA, trying to make sense of modern art. Or maybe you're a beach bum who prefers to travel to Hermosa, Manhattan, Dockweiler, or Seal Beach, since Venice is really crowded with tourists. You may also frequent the Laugh Factory on the weekends because you love stand-up comedy and secretly hope to be roasted by Matt Rife one day. Or you're always catching live music at the Troubadour, trying your darndest to get tinnitus. Simply put, if you live in Los Angeles, you will almost certainly need a car at some point. And since you already own a car, you probably want a Metro Pass to be less expensive than the cost of filling it with gas. If not, what would be the point of switching to a commute that might be longer, involve close contact with smelly people, and prevent you from jamming out to your favorite tunes? As a result, there are lots of people who live close to metro lines but never take public transit to work simply because it is too expensive. And that is where the new fares come into play. Even before we factor in how much gas prices have increased over the past 4 years, applying the new fare cap of $18 makes it so that every single one of these commutes is less expensive than the equivalent amount of gas needed to drive. So now, people living in all 4 of these situations have the choice of saving money by taking the metro instead of a car to work. The way fare capping operates also contributes to a farther psychological win. You see, with a weekly fare cap of $18 and a one-trip cost of $1.75 for the metro, your fare is capped by simply making 5 round trips to and from work. Any additional trips are instantly 100% free. Yes, you heard that correctly. Free. As in without cost, without obligation, on the house, zero, nada. Say it however you want. They're all awesome. When I recently visited Portland, Oregon, I was able to reap the benefits of this myself. The first 2 trips I took on their public transit each day were because my destination was far enough away that I needed a ride. But once I hit the cap, I no longer needed to nickel and dime every transit decision. Now I just had to figure out the quickest, easiest, and most pleasant way to get to my destination. Sometimes that meant walking. Other times it meant taking the bus or light rail. And that is exactly the mental shift that more Angelenos will experience every weekend after a week of commuting by metro. So if this piqued your interest and you're wondering where the breaking point is, here's the math. First, look up your car's miles per gallon and divide it by $5.06. That was the August year-to-date average gas price. This gives you the cost of 1 mile of driving. Then divide $18 by your cost per mile and then divide that total by 10 trips per week. If you live more than this distance from your workplace, taking the metro to work is less expensive than filling up your car. For people who can't math, the average car means that 9 miles is the distance that you should use. If you're still interested, you can experiment with the transit app to see how your commute might look with Metro. Still interested? Download the Tap app, put some money on it, and commute by Metro for a week. Just remember to keep an eye out for those extra juicy benefits. Not sure what to look for? Don't worry. I'm sure 1 or 2 people have already chimed in with their favorites in the comments. As I previously said, LA Metro's system leaves much to be desired. When I look at the plans for future routes, I am filled with hope that one day I'll sell my car and never replace it. But that day is not today. Thankfully, Farecapping has shifted the prices in such a way that many of us can commute to work car-free and remain car-free for many of our leisure activities, all while keeping our car parked in the garage and ready for when we need to travel somewhere that Metro doesn't service.